Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have Ben in the house and he's talking about rehabilitation and probation and stuff like that. But we just started off with, how long you been in the business?
So probation, probably only coming up to about 6 months, but I've worked in forensic units for about 2 years prior.
And why did you want to get into this whole...
My university study, more than anything, and did a sociology and criminology degree, dipped my toe in the water. I'm a postgrad in psychology now. Just starting to get into real working life now in London and that kind of stuff, really. I was working in Kent before that.
Now, question is, do you think, based on your experience, that everybody is able to be rehabilitated?
There's definitely potential for everyone to be rehabilitated. The question is time and money. More than anything, it's how long can a place hold you somewhere for that long for you to get better?
Now, I would throw in, so it's a bit of a trick question there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm going to say, innit? That woman, what's her name? The devil woman.
The NHS nurse, yes.
Yeah.
Her name is escaping me right now. I think it was
the one who killed all the babies.
Yeah, that's the thing that kills me. Is that, IVF babies.
Yeah.
That kind of thing as well. It was people struggling to have kids, but that was what was making me question what was the why, what was the real motivation behind that, apart from...
Can she be rehabilitated? And should she be rehabilitated?
She should be rehabilitated, but maybe shouldn't be released.
Really?
I think there's a way to make yourself better in that respect. If they can boil down to what the why was, this was the key question, was the why she did it. If they can find out whether there was a trigger event or something that caused her to have this motivation to want to, hurt these babies and hurt these families, there's a way, when you can boil it down to that, there's a way forward from there, I think. But there needs to be obviously that admission of guilt as well. She needs to realise the extensiveness of what she did, and from what I had watched and seen, I didn't see much emotion from her.
My question would be, why rehabilitate her if she's just going to remain in jail?
In the sense that there's ways that when you're incarcerated, you can still give back to communities in certain ways.
How?
You'd be surprised with some sort of more low secure prisons. You can have people that are incarcerated that can go out in community and things like that. When I worked in forensic centres, some of these guys, some are spent sentences, some are unspent, but they were allowed to go out on unescorted leave in those areas. But the areas that they were placed in were nowhere near where their index offences were. So when they fall back, there's a lot less risk in that respect geographically.
So what kind of crimes are these people committing? Please don't tell me they're not paedophiles.
No. The difficult, when you get more to the learning disability side, when you find people in forensic centres, a lot of that is more of that nature. A lot of the guys that I dealt with were it was low secure, high dependency, so a lot of it was substance misuse that boiled down to an aggressive outburst or hurting someone, or is something that has happened before.
Do you get really, excuse me, you get stalked? I never understand that. Stalking, what are you saying? What?
So it was in this incident, it was a fella who it was an ex-girlfriend of his. So that to me...
Oh yeah, that kind of makes sense.
That made sense to me. He got himself on drugs and broke into our house. But he wanted to talk. In his head, he thought, I can make this work. Chance, we can make it work. It would be like a term of endearment, like me kind of like, not... He saw it as breaking in, but like she saw it as breaking in, he saw it as, him being passionate and showing her that, like, he wants to talk and sort things out and that kind of thing. It's difficult because he's a young fella. It goes to show with things like that, though, you could do something quite serious, have a mental state very, very low, and not knowing where you're going in life, and you can eventually make it work. Because a lot of the guys I've worked with over the past 2 years, they're back in community now. They've finished their sentences, they've got jobs. I saw one a few months ago when I was coming home from work, and he said, "Oh, it's just a job in a shop, but it's a start."
Is there any? See, with paedophiles, how would you handle them? Do you think it's worth rehabilitating them? So I hear a lot, and I haven't done statistics on this.
Yeah,
a lot of them reoffend.
A lot of them do reoffend. I think the thing is with it, because there's a lot of manipulative traits to being that kind of person and having that inclination. So there's never any 100% way of saying that this person's not going to reoffend again. There does become a point though, something from my criminology study, there does become a point where you hit a certain age where that risk of reoffending dramatically drops. So maybe there is a chemical change there in your brain at some point. But again, it's one of those things, that kind of change, you want to change your mentality and change your behaviour like that, it has to come from within. That kind of thing. That's how I've always seen it. So sorry, that doesn't really answer the question, but it's a very difficult one to put a clear-cut answer on. Yes, all can, all can't, because they're all very unique cases. And you have to take them case by case. There are guys I know that I've worked with that I think have the potential to be rehabilitated, because when you talk to them and you see what their mental age really is, you can see that what they had done, you could see there wasn't really capacity for it. Like they didn't have.
Do you think we see them as victims too much, as in the law, not the society?
I think the law can see some of the ones that have no remorse. Like there was a few that I met that had no remorse about their actions and said they would do it again. Other ones that
they sit there and say it to you.
Yep.
And how do you feel? Do you feel that? Let me just slice his neck now.
It's so frustrating. I'd have to wring a neck or so, or just find a way to get through to him in that respect. But some people won't.
At least he's honest.
There was one guy there that I thought would never change. But there was quite a few I think with potential to change with the right people around them, the right support. But again, that's time and money.
I don't know. It's just a hard one, because my attitude is there's some crimes you don't get second chances for.
No, and I agree with that perspective. But where I've worked in healthcare, in forensic acute, and now working in probation as well, I've always wanted to help people regardless of what they've done.
Why do they call it forensic? And I always see a forensic as in like looking at biology of dead people or something.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of the forensic side of it, it's called forensic and specialists. So the team that's built around them, you have like social workers, psychologists, doctors, and that kind of thing. And that's where the forensic comes in with the doctors, because they do where they're doing all the blood works and they're doing constant things like that, and them doing UDS, checking them for drug use, checking them for any issues with their vitals and things like that. And on top of that, forensic kind of lies in with the whole, they've still got a criminal offence with some of them as well. Acute is, so they haven't committed an offence yet, or they've had a close run-in with the police or something like that, and they've been referred through their doctor or through police agencies that this person needs help. Acute, you do see a lot more quick change, but then the funny one is there's a guy that I used to work with over the past year, and he'd been back like 5 times within a year. But he was using it, he was a young lad, and he was using it in the sense of, when my mental health gets low, I know where to go, instead of going and doing something stupid. So he'd go back to the acute centre and say, look, my mental health I need to be reassessed, and go from there. It's a long-winded process, but I think with someone like that, when they really want to change and they want to fix it, he will eventually. Because when, at the time where I was leaving, gave the guy a handshake and that kind of thing, I was like, just keep yourself straight. That sort of thing, and the look I saw in his eyes there was motivation there. Okay. So I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, I see it. What kind of personality would you say you need to have to do your job if a young person is interested in taking on your role?
Empathetic, sympathetic, and able to persevere as well, because you do deal with a lot of crap is the way I would put it, I guess. A lot of verbal, and there is obviously always that physical risk that, you know, if you're dealing with people with mental health issues and they see you as a threat, or they see you as something in their way, you could end up, there's danger and there's risks to that. So as long as you're willing to accept the level of risk that comes with it, and you can still be sympathetic and empathetic in spite of the crap that you can get, and be resilient, I think that there's a good career for you there.
Well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Thank you, man.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.